Number of common bans. I probably would expect to see a Nocturne ban from Salad Supreme, but there's a lot of options for what you want to do. A lot of it depends on what kind of comps you're looking to run, and I honestly don't know a whole lot about either of these teams and what they're going to be looking to run. If you're trying to have a heavy Uber carry in the back line, like Kog'Maw or Vayne, who maybe is susceptible to aggression, then you maybe ban out someone like Nocturne, who obviously is one of the greatest initiators, in team fights in particular. If you're looking for an aggressive mid champion who's maybe a little bit squishy early, maybe you ban out champions like Ryze, who can be really abusive, or Anivia if you know they have a good player. But Morgana and Udyr, very safe picks, very safe bans. They are just some of the strongest champions in lane. Don't really lose to anyone, and to have a lane that doesn't really lose, that's never a fun thing in competitive play. So banning them out.
Yeah, and Morgana is definitely a hard champ to gank in the mid. And, Ryze is, we've had the changes to Ryze, get that little extra movement speed. And anyone who just comes to try and great gank him, just Prism, run, done, go. Udyr, so we got a lot of mid-focus bans for Salad Supreme, a lot of jungle-focus bans for TCM. They also don't want to be dealing with the Lee Sin either. I mean, he's definitely, he's a very well-versed jungler, very mobile jungler at that, can do a lot of fancy tricks with him. So we'll see our last ban for Salad Supreme in just a moment. It is Varus. Interesting.
Yeah, and I think people are really quickly realizing how strong Varus is. And originally when you play Varus, you're kind of like, oh, he seems like a weaker version of a number of other ADs. He doesn't have a lot of mobility. He doesn't have quite the same CC that Ashe does. But what he does have is he does have actually a lot of CC, even though he doesn't have as much as she does. And then he's got a lot of damage to go with it. And the range on his Q is absolutely phenomenal.
Yes, fully charged.
So he's just absolutely a man among men. It's, he's a lot of fun to play, so if you haven't tried him out, definitely go ahead with it. But Shen as the last ban as well. So a number of people who can be, top laners or junglers, they have that versatility. And then Shen, obviously, the monster in the north, being able to, control that top lane and then have that split pushing capabilities. And so the first pick will be Ahri. There are a number of counters to Ahri, but Ahri as a whole is generally a pretty safe champion. She's got great control in that mid lane. She's got the roaming potential with the ganks and snowballs so effectively if you can pick up a couple of early kills.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That is a big risk, though, a lot of times, if you decide to pick your AP mid first. Because it does leave you open to the counter picks. And a lot of these pro matches, you usually see like supports pick first, or junglers pick first, or even ADs pick first. AP mid is usually one of the last things you take. But to see all these bans, all these frequent bans that we were talking about earlier, Ahri was a frequent ban, Urgot was a frequent ban, and now we see them picked up very quickly by both teams. So Soraka, Urgot going to be the first two for TCM.
Yeah, and top lane in particular is usually the lane that you want to counterpick the most. Mid lane definitely has a lot of that potential, so they will be able to grab the Janna pick, which is nice. Janna, one of the strongest supports in the game. But the Urgot-Soraka combo can be absolutely devastating if you don't deal with it right, particularly since they have enough burst damage to pop Janna's shield fairly quickly. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of it's going to depend what kind of a DPS we see bot. Someone like Graves has a little bit of burst potential, but then also has the passive to counteract Urgot a little bit. It depends on what they're comfortable with. If they like someone like Sivir, perhaps, Sivir counters out Urgot fairly effectively with the spell shield. That's always a strong lane. Graves, actually, so Graves and Janna. So that is, one of the more common lanes, and the passive from Graves is very strong. He's also got the dash to quickly avoid the lock-on from Urgot, so he doesn't have to worry about that as much. So that should be a pretty even matchup, though they will want to watch out for kills later on, because Urgot can just be one of the most aggressive champions through the mid-game, picking up with the Flash ultimate for those kills.
Yeah, Flash ultimate is just a wonderful means of initiation from Urgot, and he can get really super tanky really quick, just start stacking health and armor. It's like, it doesn't matter what I do. I've got all this health. I could just go in, ult. It doesn't matter if I get focus. I can come back and get Guardian Angel real quick or something like that. But Kassadin being considered for TCM right now, and I mean, I've been playing a lot more Kassadin myself recently. I've fallen back in love with the guy a little bit, and I think once it's good. See, that's the thing though. Now we have two potentially very mobile AP mids. You have Dash on Ahri. You've got the free blink on Kassadin. So now we may be seeing a lot of ganks, not only from our junglers, which we'll find out later, but also from our AP mids. A lot of potential AP roaming for this game.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I'm not positive on how the Kassadin versus Ahri matchup goes. I would think that it'd be pretty even. So we'll have to see, how it progresses. Kennen in the top lane, always one of those strong champions. I'm a little bit surprised they didn't pick a jungler first. So picking out the top lane when they had that counter pick, so they could have done something. But I understand if they wanted to keep Kennen away. Kennen's definitely one of the strongest top laners in the game. Can lane against anyone. Kassadin versus Ahri is interesting, though, because Ahri definitely outranges Kassadin. I mean, obviously, as far as melee is concerned, Kassadin's melee, but the Q on the silence is really what's key. And Ahri's damage, both her snare and her true shot, outrange the silence on Kassadin, so she can get great harass in lane, which is going to be a concern for him. Then there's also the fact that one of the reasons that Kassadin counters out a number of AP champions is that his passive, it reduces magic damage.
Yes.
Well, the Q for Ahri, it's half of its true damage, so she will be able to get a nice amount of burst there. However, one thing he does have going for him is that when Ahri's trying to get her burst, she's got to unload everything. She has enough killing potential generally, but not as much damage as a number of other champions do. But he can interrupt her combos. Maybe she dashes in, he interrupts the charm with his silence. He can obviously rift walk out of this charm when he has that ability later. And then as the game progresses, he will have the mobility to follow her around with ganks, like you said. So that should be a pretty interesting matchup. On the other hand, Salad Supreme picking up Renekton in that top lane and Nautilus in the jungle. So two of the most aggressive champions in the game. Renekton obviously can crush most top laners, while Nautilus, they both are that beefy front line with lots of disables to protect for both Ahri and Graves in the back.
Yeah, but I mean, Renekton top lane is more than likely going to be going up against Kennen, so it has going to have to deal with a lot of that ranged harass, and we should have the sufficient help we need from Nautilus, but Olaf, if he does get picked for TCM, is going to be a little bit faster in the jungle, I feel. So we may see Olaf we may see Olaf being a little bit more active in the ganks than Nautilus will be in the early game.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Olaf does have the speed advantage. The thing with Renekton versus Kennen top, Kennen has the range harass, but Kennen's range harass is actually, it's kind of small, so it's an overtime kind of thing. Renekton will have enough regen with his Q in order to kind of sustain in that lane, and then he's got lots of burst potential. Both of them have, the disables, have a lot of kill potential, particularly when the junglers factor in, and both of them are very safe lanes, so both Kennen and Renekton can avoid most ganks. The key will be how effective, the junglers can be. Nautilus has a little bit easier time ganking. Obviously, if we hit the Q, undertow from Olaf, then he can follow it up. But Renekton can easily dodge that, whereas Kennen has a little bit harder time dodging the disables from Nautilus.
Yeah. So I'm also thinking, I'm going back once again to the Ahri Kassadin matchup as well, because one of the things where Kassadin really shines is if he goes up against an AP mid that does a lot of ability spamming, like a Cassiopeia or a Karthus or Katarina, because he can go ahead and keep getting those stacks that he needs on his E, so he can fire it off more often, more effectively, and farm better as well. And I think it would be in Ahri's best interest to farm as little as she can using her orb and her Foxfire, and just try and farm with the auto text as best as we can, because remember, Kassadin for his auto text is melee range. Ahri is not. So maybe if we only use our Q just purely for harass and only farm with auto text, I think we may see Ahri actually winning mid lane.
Yeah, I mean, it's true that, Kassadin has the slow from the abilities. However, it is too short of a range for Ahri, that matchup. He would need to Rift Walk into her in order for it to be effective. And if he's going to Rift Walk into her, obviously she can just throw off the quick charm, and then she's going to have a nice chunk of damage right to his face, which is going to be a concern. As it progresses, a lot of it's going to depend on silence. I don't think that Kassadin is going to want to be aggressive with Ahri in this matchup. He's going to primarily want to farm, see if he can pick up kills around the map through that mid game, because I believe that Ahri, like we've said, will win that matchup. But it should be pretty interesting. We have the Urgot swap into a silence from Kassadin to avoid that flash. There's no flash potential, obviously.
Silence from Kassadin or Soraka.
Right.
So both of those silences, just the big bullseyes right on Ahri.
Yeah, so we have a number of disables from TCM where they can pick up those kills. And then there's the fact that Urgot, as the game progresses, he is strong throughout the late game, but he's not the same AD carry as someone like Graves. Obviously, he's not going to be focusing down Nautilus and Renekton. And Nautilus and Renekton are just going to be so tanky as the game progresses. It's actually going to be very difficult for TCM to deal with. So what they have on the other end is they picked up the Olaf jungle, so they know they've got these uber tanks late game. Well, we'll have a hyper carry jungler, who can just take care of business late game, and we'll have that advantage. And then you have to consider through the early game, when Nautilus and Renekton don't have that much HP, we will have the true damage from Olaf where he can kind of burst them down a little bit. So lots of burst from TCM all around.
Yeah, I do. We got the just right amount of initiation. Like even if we don't get the Urgot swap, if Kennen can come in with a nice flash ult or decisive rush, Zhonya's. Just get right in there with the ult, pop the Zhonya's, get all the stuns and everything you need, and then the rest of TCM can come follow up, like Cassie can go in there, just quick, slow. Everyone, it reduces everyone's ability to get away, except for Ahri, of course. You can just zoom away, but we can still catch Janna, we can still catch Graves, we still have the ability to catch someone from Salad, even if the initiations don't go off perfect, if the positioning is wrong.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I think that TCM should be pretty scared right now of the late game for Salad Supreme. TCM, there are a bunch of 2,300 kind of players, but Salad Supreme right now, their team comp is definitely extremely aggressive through that late game. They have the tanks up front, which we don't have a lot of great means of dealing with those tanks from TCM. They don't have those great damage dealers late game. Obviously, the burst from Kassadin is not going to be enough once Nautilus and Renekton get up that health. Kennen, late game, has a decent amount of damage, but not enough to take down, those kind of tanky bodies. And then Graves and Ahri are very safe champions in that back line, so it's going to be tough for them to negotiate those fights. But if they can win, early on, we have a number of aggressive lanes, the range advantage for Kennen top, though I think Renekton should be fine at lane. I think it'll probably be a safe lane for the two of them. If Urgot can pick up some kills, if Kassadin can get snowballing, then Kassadin's obviously one of the greatest snowball champions in the game, so that's always the potential for them, and we'll see how it goes, but we are into the game,
yes.
So we will see, what they're trying to do, how they'll try and negotiate this matchup.
So here we are, TCM starting up on purple side. Salad Supreme starting off on blue side as well. So we got Nautilus usually starts over blue buff. Olaf, he has some options. He could start blue or red wherever he wants, wherever he decides he may want to start ganking from. So we'll see where they go. But it looks like Salad's definitely going to be going over to blue buff. But it looks like TCM may be going for the invade here. But Ahri in the mid, we do see that they're going to look for that defense here. So they know TCM's here. They know they're looking to do something early on, but we got a nice little point defense set up from Salad, but they know they're all in mid. They just want to cover their bases, and it looks like Olaf's going to be heading on over to blue area.
Yeah, and right now, Salad Supreme just sitting back for a second. They know that they can just defend their base pretty safely. So we'll see whether or not TCM decides to invade here. But right now, it should be a pretty safe game. Neither team, has that kind of unstoppable level 1, though TCM has a little bit stronger level 1 with the spam range that TCM has with both Kennen and Urgot, and obviously the double silence could be pretty devastating. So we'll see whether or not they try and steal that red buff, because that would definitely shut down some of Nautilus's ganks.
There's Kunyan in mid, just throwing some shurikens, throwing out some harass, trying to keep Ahri at bay, and TCM's just more than content to just camp out this bush and make sure that things are safe for their end. So Olaf will go ahead and go grab those wolves. Nautilus is going to be starting on blue in just a minute. So not a whole lot of action, and the no invades, as everyone's playing it safe, want to secure their first few jungle creeps.
Yeah, and so Olaf starting off with the blue, he will have that spam ability, and like we said earlier, that jungling speed advantage over Nautilus. He's going to clear extremely fast. They do have the ward here, so they will be aware of what Nautilus's path is. So we'll have to see, how that factors into the ganks at all. An early level 2 gank from Nautilus could happen up top. He does have that level 2 ganking potential, and then, Kennen, that's when Kennen's still vulnerable before she has the lightning surge, but he will actually just come down. And right now, because Soraka had dropped a ward, they know that there was no ward placed down for Salad Supreme because they saw that. So with the jungling speed that Olaf has, he's just rushing straight for this red buff. But Nautilus, in the meantime, coming around the backside is actually going to catch him, and they are throwing off pings. We'll have to see whether they engage on Olaf.
Olaf did not use the smite on the blue, so he goes ahead and grabs red real quick, but gets rooted by Nautilus. He's not got a whole lot of places to go. He pops the ghost, trying to put Nautilus in a bit of a dizzy spin, but Ari is here to try and make something of this. He may actually just straight up steal the red and go deny himself. What are we going to do? We got a tower.
He might have another second.
Wait, are we just hit? Yeah,
wow.
We got the stole the enemy red. Go deny yourself. And he was in a very bad spot. He's lost his own blue. But you know what? I think just stealing the enemy red and making sure they can't get it back. I mean, that's pretty good. And he didn't give up first blood, so we're a little bit behind. But all that time spent chasing him.
He's actually ahead currently for Nautilus.
Yeah.
So it puts Olaf a little bit behind what he's trying to do. He won't have that same, kind of lane aggression. But wow, look at all that burst damage from Renekton, chunking Kennen quite easily. And so that's one of the threats of the Renekton lane, is he is a very safe lane against Kennen. He has the regen where Kennen can't get that effective harass, but then also the killing potential. So we'll see how that works out. And so far, Kassadin holding his own mid, some pretty effective play there.
Holding his own, he's got double the creep score of Ari right now. He's actually doing some pretty effective harass on her in mid. Urgot also now pushing bot lane as well, and Renekton now actually doing a little bit of invade on the TCM's jungle here.
Yeah, I think he just wants to keep an eye on Olaf. He doesn't have that early ward. He really should just recall at this point and get that early ward. So that'll be something definitely for him to consider. But regardless, so far, Olaf doing a pretty good job. We do have the gank coming in bottom. Oh, the pull, but the flash from Wolvies is going to be able to dodge that Nautilus engage. So the gank not successful, but it does burn the flash, which is going to be devastating, considering that Jan and Graves is a very aggressive lineup, and Soraka is not, doesn't have that mobility, is pretty vulnerable in that bottom lane.
So Nautilus now wandering over to the mid, but Olaf is also laying in wait up in top lane as well. So we've got Nautilus coming in, trying to make something happen on Cass, and he's level 4. He does not have his free blink.
Oh, the charm.
Barely misses, but we do now have Olaf up top lane. We got the burns, we got the ignites going down on Renekton. Shuriken misses, but one auto attack, and the ignite will get first blood for Kungan up top lane.
Yeah, and so they do have enough regression. Renekton's generally pretty safe, but the stuns from Kennen do hold him in place. So Olaf able to come in there. They are able to pick up the quick kill. And, top lane is definitely one of those lanes that snowballs quickly, so you tend to see a lot of aggression up there. But right off the bat, TCM grabbing the early advantage. And now we're starting to get to that point where Urgot can throw off that aggression. He does have the better sustain than Graves does. Graves still has health pots, so he will be okay in this lane, and so they are just going to be farming for a moment.
And also mid lane, Ari's actually starting to catch up a little bit. I mean, she's got the orb, getting the harass down, but Kassadin doing some farming up over by his own tower, and now Kennen also being very aggressive top lane, knowing, hey, we got the first blood up here. I got a little bit of an advantage on you. I'm going to press it. I'm going to push you to tower. Now also going to go back to town. We're going to see what Kennen's going to buy right here. We got a chain vest right off the bat from Kennen, so that's going to be the nice little precursor to the Zonians here, and we have extra armor up top lane to deal with Renekton.
It's the chain vest coupled with the ninja tabby. Kennen it's going to be very difficult for Renekton to get any sort of damage earlier. We saw how much damage potential he had, but now Kennen definitely has the armor to deal with it, and very quickly that lane could move into Kennen's favor because of the ranged advantage. We do have a ward now for Renekton, so he will be okay. Kassadin coming up top. I don't know if this is a gank. We do have the level 6 for Kassadin, so we'll check back with that in a second. But in the meantime, Renekton, he should be pretty okay. How much longer? He's almost level 6, but he isn't going to get the creeps yet. They will be alive just long enough for Kassadin to come in if Kennen gets the stun, and that's the key here. And there's the riff off from Kassadin. We do have the silence followed by the ultimate with the flash from Kungan. There's the slow on Ube, and they are going to be able to pick up Renekton here. There's another kill top lane, and so now top lane is at a huge disadvantage. In the meantime, we saw there was a gank down bottom, but they were able to back off. Weren't able to pick up the kill there, but regardless, early aggression top lane paying off huge for TCM.
Now you also notice that top lane, very nice. He warded his lane, but not in the tri-bush. We had, we realized that Kassadin was missing from top lane, And you got to think, hey, I don't see him in the river. He's still missing. He may have gone the long way around, and that's exactly what he did. He went through the tri-brush, which was not warded, comes in, rift walks through the wall, and that's what happens sometimes.
Yeah, and because of that sustain that Soraka and Urgot have, Graves hasn't gone back to base yet, hasn't bought, so Urgot's now slowly getting that advantage. We do have the blue buff on Kassadin, so he's making his way down into this bottom lane. They won't be there to gank, so he recognizes, all right, I'll just head back mid again and farm. And so, we'll see when the next aggression comes from him. They do have a lot of dragon potential with Olaf. He is going for a Wriggles build, most likely. We'll have to see. He could just go, straight into like a gold pretend build and using the early cloth armor for like a ninja tabby. But they do have a lot of CC, so I would assume he would want to rush a quick Merc Treads. But that's one of the things with Olaf, is he's a very versatile jungler. You don't have to go with that lifesteal because he can, maintain his health very easily throughout the jungle. So you can go with more of a support Olaf build, go straight into tank with like Shirelia's and Heart of Gold early.
Yep. So Ahri was also past their team's blue, so both our champs in mid should be having blue buff. And and Kassadin, AP champs, just AP mids, they both benefit huge from having blue buff. But I think Kassadin is definitely on a little bit more of a need basis because of that Rift Walk, because of that harass. But Nautilus is up here in the bush. I'm pretty sure Kungan has no idea that he's close by, waiting. But however, the lane is pushed. The tower should take out those creeps, but Olaf's coming by. Ahri's coming by. We got a party up top lane, and Farfane may be in a very sticky situation in a second. We got Barry Nice coming in, but ult is popped. Try to get something in on Kennen, but the charm just barely missing Olaf as he tries to run away. The ult is popped, and Kennen in with the ultimate, but being focused on by all three members of Sal Supreme by the tier 2 tower, and Ahri does pick up the kill.
Yeah, so a lot of aggression. They do have that killing potential. Nautilus, he's going to get some of that. Renekton pulling the lane back a little bit to his advantage. In the meantime, Kassadin's coming up. We'll see if he's going to intercept Ahri here. He doesn't quite have the burst damage, but he can chunk her quite a bit. So there is the slow, and actually the silence as well. The Rift Walk. He knows that her ultimate is down, followed by the Ignite. One more Rift Walk, and then another silence. Should be able to do it. There is the kill for Ube, able to pick it up mid. And in the meantime, we have kind of a little duel here, bot with Graves and Urgot. So they'll just exchange a little bit of damage and then probably back off. But Urgot still chasing. He is getting some nice Q damage off and forcing Graves to get back, and he does have that sustain from Soraka. But in the meantime, Kassadin making his way down into this bottom lane. We'll see if he goes through the tower here for this gank.
They're being pinged down here at the tower. We may see a dive. We have a little bit of a creep, we wait for it, but the ult coming in on Janna. Valinor now has to try and walk back to tower, but Kassadin tanking the tower as he rift walks in. But the ult from Janna does push everyone back, but Urgot does get in with the flash. We got the heals, but it's not going to be enough to get him out alive. 1-for-1 bot lane.
And in the meantime, we do have Nautilus coming. We will have enough mana for Kassadin to get out of there, but it would have been a pretty scary situation if he decided to dive Graves underneath that tower. So unfortunately, the gank, it was kind of successful. It's only a 1-for-1. But Kassadin able to get up, some more gold. Obviously, to have him snowball at all is huge.
Yeah.
But the Graves picking up the kill will definitely, hurt them a little bit. And Nautilus just kind of sitting around that bottom lane, wants to make sure we don't see any aggression from Kassadin while Graves is trying to recall.
I mean, it was a bit of a fumble on TCM's part. I mean, we traded our carry for their support. Not the best exchange in the world. But we're still establishing our aggression here, and we're realizing, and then Sal Supreme should now be getting the hint. It's like, oh, okay, they have a Kassadin, he can do this blink thing, kinda. We should be extra super careful, and we're also putting the fear into Sal Supreme is like that he can be anywhere, getting that paranoia, getting that mind game in.
And one of the great things with Kassadin that we've seen so far in this game is he just has such high base damage, even without any ability power. So Kassadin going with that early Catalyst, has the regen. We'll see, how he builds it. But I've actually seen, a variety of builds like Tank Kassadin work out pretty successfully. He's going to jump right onto Janna, so they've got some great damage. Janna will be going down shortly. He will throw off the Whirlwind there, but there's another Rift Walk from Kassadin, so they will be able to pick that up and then come back for the safe Dragon with Olaf. Nautilus and Ahri trying to, dissuade them a little bit here, but I don't think they have enough control, particularly while Kassadin has blue buff. It will be down shortly, though, so that's, when you can try and take advantage. And the big key for Salad Supreme is to try and control that blue from Kassadin, because if you can deny him the blue a little bit later, it will be spawning shortly, actually, then you can get some great control in that game.
Yep. So he's going to be heading back to mid, going to be farming up that wave. Graves is a little bit too far out. The ult from Urgot is up once again, but they're going to decide to not press the issue. They realize what happened last time is like, you know what, let's play it safe, let's just push the wave, and let's work to our advantage here because we are in the lead. Don't want to give that up, especially in a bracket like this where it's a qualifier for such a huge show.
Yeah, and right now, I mean, we do have a really strong late game for Salad Supreme, but TCM, the more I'm thinking about it, they've got that late game as well. Obviously, they have the hype, the great carry for Olaf, and then they've got Cassidy snowballing pretty well right now, is 2-0-2. How much gold does he have? He's actually going for the chain vest. I'm sorry, he does get the Rod of Ages,
yep.
So, he will be pretty tanky. He has that mana if they don't, aren't able to control their blue, but right now we do have Ahri and Nautilus coming up here trying to see if they can steal it a little bit, but they are going to be walking into a fight, and they are kind of at a disadvantage until Graves comes up. So Olaf coming in on it, but Ahri is on the other side of the wall. Olaf will throw off his ultimate. He's going to back out of there. We'll see whether or not Cassidy engages here, but they should just back off for a second, get that blue buff. Nautilus kind of out of position, though, but we have the silence and the slow. Nautilus dropping very quickly. Graves turning onto the team. There's the Janna ult trying to help them out there. Ahri jumping back and forth is going to be able to negotiate this fight pretty well, but now Cassidy is in pretty good control. We do have a loss of mana from a number of these champions, so they won't be able to burst them down quite as effectively, but Olaf walking into the snare. He will get the ignited there. Cassidy once again jumping into the enemy team. Not going to be able to pick up the kill, but Urgot is here now, and he does have his ultimate. We'll see if he gets a good swap. A number of them are very low. Cassidy could come into this, and he's actually going to jump with the slow and the silence, but he's going to get hit by that charm, get out of there with the flash, and so he is going to be okay.
That was a money shield from Valnora onto Graves. If that shield was not there, he would have certainly died. But they were far enough away from the jungle area to have a little bit more reaction time in the event that Cassin was to pop up. They know what he's capable of, and they know he's nearby, and that's why you saw them run along the wall back to base, because they want to put as much space as they can between the jungle and themselves, just to give them a little bit more breathing room, and it paid off. We saved Graves.
Yeah, and right now we have almost a 3k gold advantage for TCM. A lot of early aggression has definitely worked out to their advantage. We do, once again, have, no blue buff actually on Cassidy, but it is going to be coming up here, so they will be able to get that and have that continued aggression. Ahri picking up the blue buff of her own, and so we'll see how it works out for him. We do have the slow from Janna in this bottom lane, trying to get some nice damage, but in the meantime, the rest of the team is coming. Hopefully they don't commit too much for this kill. We have the exhaust going off, and Janna walking towards the rest of the team. Ube will be coming in here shortly, so Urgot still chasing. He won't be able to get the slow, but actually being able to pick up the kill on Janna here, and we'll see if they tower dive. They probably can. There's Cassidy flashing to the other side, has that rift walk, and now they will be able to pick up Graves underneath that tower, and then push down this tower if they decide. Farfane actually using his ultimate to prevent a little bit of damage there, but probably wasn't necessary. He should have been able to get out okay, but regardless, a huge early advantage for TCM.
Yeah, we also saw that Valix also chose not to use his ult either. So if we were to do the swap, that's all that time channeling that ult that you're just not straight out auto-attacking. And Janna was so very low in that fight, and they outnumbered them eventually 4-2. So, it's like, what, we can just pressure this, we can just push them down a tower and make it a done deal.
But we do have Nautilus and Ahri in this top lane. There's the pull onto Kennen. Couldn't avoid it with the Lightning Rush. And so the ultimate goes off. Renekton stunned underneath the tower, but they will be able to pick up that kill. So again, Salad Supreme getting some nice aggression from Nautilus and Ahri. That roaming combo, they are able to pick up a couple of kills. Ahri still has the ultimate up, so she will be okay there. Didn't have to burn it in that engage.
Yep, so we're seeing that Salad Supreme is now starting to catch members of the team off guard. They're focusing top lane. I mean, Kennen right now, look at the creep skill. 111, 110. So we got top lane, relative pretty even. But we decided to buy the quick revolver on Kennen before finishing the Zonias. So we still have a little. We now have pushed ourselves back a little while to try and get that, but we actually see Nautilus getting the pull in on the Urgot and regretting that decision immediately as he's hit to 25% health. But yeah, Salad Supreme pushed back from defending their own tower. They ping Cassidy and they know he's still in the area, and they're just gonna go ahead and decide to split up once again.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised by that engage because Salad Supreme, they didn't really have a lot of kill potential there. What they did do is they dissuaded TCM slightly from taking this tower, but they will be able to continue that pressure. And the big thing is they didn't have enough potential to kill Urgot, particularly with the heals from Soraka. So all they were doing was engaging a 3v3 where TCM was at the advantage. Nautilus going to back off. He, was able to get that health back, so they were able to stall that mid tower. So it was successful for them, but almost resulting in a kill. And in the meantime, we do see Kassadin is, going to be farming down this bottom lane and is farming very effectively so far in this game. So he is going to be a serious threat for them to deal with through that mid game, getting fed pretty early.
Yeah, we bought that Rod of Ages. We still haven't gotten our tier 2 boots yet. For Kassadin, though, I can jump around. It's not that much of a concern because you want to get your Rod of Ages as early as you can if you want to go for that build so you can start getting those stacks immediately. It takes 10 minutes for that thing to fully charge up, and you need every second you can get on that thing. But we see Renekton now wandering down, leaving top lane, but Kennen's coming with him. He knows he's gone. He knows where he's going. He knows what he wants to do. He wants to join the rest of his team up in mid, and they want to try and get their shove going. But Kassadin is split pushing down bot. So now we see Salad Supreme. They're like, okay, Dragon is up. Do we want to go for Dragon? Do we want to get the free Kassadin kill because he's so far out? But we actually see Ari being caught out. Nautilus comes in with the pull and rest of the TCM. Kassadin is not with the team. It's 4v5 right here, right in front of Dragon. Ari's in the backline getting hit with the swap from Urgot. And Kennen here with the ult on all of Salad Supreme. Janna may not be able to get away. The last tick of Ignite will be able to pick her up. But now we see Nautilus in pursuit. Everyone's trying to focus down the Kennen. Kennen may actually still live with it, tries to run away, and nice! We got the ace from TCM in what started as a 4v5 right in front of Dragon, and they took that convincingly. Very well done.
Yeah, and the big thing was that, TCM, they had, a really aggressive team. They did get Soraka. Soraka was a little bit out front, so Salad Supreme was able to pick them up and get that kill. But then, the resulting fight, they just didn't have enough sustained damage to pick up the kills. They weren't able to burst people down like they would want to, so even though they had the 4v5 advantage, TCM was able to hold off, and they do actually have a really tanky team. The more and more I'm seeing it, we do have a tanky build. Kassadin, Urgot is obviously pretty tanky. Kennen's pretty survivable usually. Olaf will be tanky as the game progresses. So couple that with the Soraka, and Salad Supreme is having a very difficult job taking them down. And then, obviously, the later fights, the more disruptive fights, Kassadin thrives when you have those disorganized kind of situations when people are scattering. Olaf in 1v1 situations will beat almost anyone, and so we do have the pull onto Urgot. We'll get some nice damage here, but Kennen coming into the backside on Graves will be able to force him back a little bit, and they just can't pick up the Urgot kill. They don't have enough damage to deal with it, so Valix being extremely aggressive still. We do have Renekton running up into the team, but he's going to have to back out, and so now Kennen being chased a little bit, he is going to get out of there, but the longer this fight goes, the more it works in TCM. There's Ube coming in. Everyone is getting very low for Salad Supreme, and TCM just organizing this fight beautifully. They're now chasing down Nautilus. There's the kill, and we have Kennen coming in with the ultimate, finally able to pick up another kill, and TCM just grabbing kills left and right. The rest of them should be able to get out of there, but that is going to be a Dragon for TCM, along with another one fight. So even though this game is very close, but the flash into the swap from Valix, able to pick this up with Kassadin. There's the Janna ult, trying to get out of there, but now Kassadin with a Rift Walk and that red buff should be able to pick up this kill. So an ace once again for TCM, and even though there was just a 1k gold advantage not that long ago, TCM very quickly has control of this game now.
Back-to-back aces for free. 205 aces back-to-back for TCM. Just wonderful, wonderful team fights from them. They have now a massive lead in this game in just a matter of moments. We have a 10k gold lead for TCM now. This is quite insane. Kassadin right now 5-0-9. It is pretty crazy. So we now see Olaf. Now he's going back. He's going to go ahead buy that giant spell. We're going to probably see a frozen mallet on him in a little bit. Nautilus now taking that as he's starting on the blue. He's going to be passing that over to Ari in just a little bit. And then we also got Renekton up top lane trying to defend the push from Kennen. Getting a quick stun, but you know what? Kennen is going to be taking out that turret in the meantime. So Nautilus now coming up. Kennen knows we've taken out the tower, and we got a little bit of time before Nautilus comes up. But will we be able to get to safety in time?
Yeah, and so right now, TCM just playing very beautifully. We do have a number of disables from Salad Supreme. Sorry about, any of the audio issues. Hopefully they're fixed now. and we can continue on. But TCM, even though Salad Supreme has all these disables up front, they weren't able to focus down people like they would like to. TCM has the silences to kind of disrupt their combos, and so Nautilus, a little bit out of position here, will be taking some heavy damage. He will want to back out, though, and Urgot actually in the middle of the team, there's the cancel, and Urgot going to take some damage, but he's not going down fast enough, and so Renekton will be getting very low. Everyone going down for Salad Supreme, and TCM just not going down. Olaf should die underneath that tower, but another kill, and TCM being very aggressive here. Ube coming in for that last kill. They will be able to pick it up and then back off. Maybe actually they don't have enough damage for a Baron, but they will be able to push down a couple of turrets here. They won't be able to get the inhibitor most likely, but they can get the base turret and then back off. Yeah,
Urgot ridiculously tanky at this moment. We got the Frozen Heart, we got the Aegis, we got the bonus that comes along with the ult as well. So okay, if you need to get really tanky really quick, let's do a swap. Let's do some musical chairs here, and we're gonna get this tier 3 tower. We may not have enough time to grab the inhib, so we should be backing out right after this. Janet puts down a tornado, because it lets them know, it's like, hey, the rest of my team's coming. You might want to get out of here. And TCM now content with backing off, looking to spend their ridiculous piles of cash. So we got a death cap in the process for Kassadin. We got the full frozen mallet here now on Olaf. We got Zonia's and Woda on Cannon. That's a lot of damage. That's a ton of damage.
Yeah, and right now, Salad Supreme, they're so far behind, it's going to be difficult for them to engage the kind of fights that they want. So rather than being the aggressors in these fights and trying to pick people off, what they need to do is sit back a little bit and try and allow Graves and Arya to just have that sustained damage through these long fights. The concern is that Graves is pretty short range. Ari has a decent range, with her abilities, but Graves is pretty short range, and so what they need is to allow TCM to engage on them, see if they can pick off Kassadin in particular, and just hold the stables for the front line, pick people off one at a time. We do have the Urgot swap once again, though, and so we have a fight engaged for Salad Supreme. They did not want it. Graves has the red buff. He should be able to get out of there. Urgot still chasing after Ari, able to force the ultimate, but Kassadin chasing now, and will be able to continue chasing this Janna. He is getting her pretty low, but they will be able to get the inhibitor, so no one going down for Salad Supreme, but the inhibitor is lost, and a number of ultimates are down. There's actually the Nautilus pull in, but it is not a very favorable position for him. He is taking a lot of damage here, and so he will go down very quickly in this fight, and TCM just going to run away with this for a second here. Salad Supreme able to back them off for a second, but they're all getting very low. They don't want to sit around with Kassadin there. Always has that potential. The flash and rift in, but they've got the double snare, the snare into the disable, and they're able to pick up the Kassadin kill. Maybe they can turn around this around some, but Urgot just being a monster up in their team. He has plenty of armor, so he can take those towers, and so now they will be able to maybe push in on this Nexus and try and end the game.
And it's still a 4v4 situation here, but Nautilus is now coming back. He is back in the mix. Doesn't have too far to run to have to rejoin the fight. It is at his house practically. But now Urgot being focused on. He's not who you want to be focusing down right now, because Kennen is right there on the front line. Nautilus is now back in the fight, trying to root who he can. Olaf is up in front, taking the brunt of everything. He is exhausted, but now Nautilus is realizing, I might want to back off just a tad. But Urgot once again up in front, taking all the damage, pushing Salad Supreme back once again in their own base.
And we just don't have enough damage coming out from Salad Supreme. They can't focus down, any of the members of TCM. Their comp has just been picked beautifully. We have the backdoor on that tower there from Olaf, able to grab that. And so, they have just such a huge advantage in this game, and Salad Supreme doesn't have the damage to deal with it at this point. Which is, kind of surprising, because they have a decent damage team. It's just TCM has built their team. They're so tanky. They have plenty of armor. And so Ari's got, a nice amount of burst for magic, but she doesn't have that great sustained magic damage that someone like a Vladimir would, or like if they had a Karthus or a Cassiopeia to have that AoE, or obviously a Ryze. Ryze was banned out. So they can't negotiate the fights like they would, and Kassadin definitely running away with this. All of TCM, doing extremely well.
I mean, look at the level difference between all of these carries. Kassadin 2 levels up on Ari. Urgot 2 levels up on Graves. Kennen 2 levels up on Renekton. It's just every single carry here is just doing so much better than Salad Supreme's carries, and that's what happens. That's exactly what happens. So we got the Baron being guarded here by TCM, waiting for everyone to come in. Ari does get the brunt of the swap, caught out from the rest of her team, and Kennen should be here. The Ignite will finish it up, and Nautilus now trying to make something happen here. Olaf up in front, trying to take 3 members of Salad Supreme on his own. Casson comes in, gets a Rift Walk over the wall, starts focusing down Graves. Nautilus does go down next, and Renekton does go down to Olaf for the double kill, and Salad Supreme there in a full retreat, and I think we may actually see TCM push for the win on this. Oh, there we
so
go.
Kevin able to pick up the kill there. They do have 4 members down. This will be the Nexus here. There's no way that Salad Supreme can defend this. They will be up in time if they really, make some pull something out. But really, TCM is just completely run away with it. They will grab the Nexus, and so game number 1 going to TCM Gaming. Again, they did do pretty well in our qualifiers, and so pulling out all the stops here, a really interesting team comp working out to perfection for them. So we'll have to see how Salad Supreme will negotiate this coming into game number 2.
Renekton will be coming up right now, but you know what? It's not too much of a matter here. Nexus goes out. GG. Game 1 goes to TCM Gaming. Good work.